Hi everybody, it's Mr. Mansager. So at this point we have our Blocky character in the maze. Blocky cannot go through the walls. So we pretty much got a functioning maze here and a functioning character. The next thing we need to do is figure out how somebody can actually win the game, because that's the point of this, is that they're going to get to the end of the maze and something needs to happen. So in this video, I'm going to show you one of the ways that you can make that happen. And we're going to do it by using a sprite. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to get rid of making Blocky go and start at the top of the maze. I'm actually going to move Blocky down to the end of the maze because I don't want to have to go through all the maze in order to test this. So Blocky's going to be right near the end. And the first thing we need to do is create a sprite that will tell the player that they've won. So when Blocky gets to the end, something should happen, some kind of reward. So we're going to make a new sprite, and make sure you select Paint New Sprite. And I'm going to convert mine to vector because that's how I like to work. And I'm just going to grab some text. So you choose the text button, and you click in there, and you can change the font. I'm going to change mine. Let's see. How about I'll try Scratch. And I'm just going to type in big letters U1. All right. I don't really like that color, so maybe I can change that color to, and you use this tool right over here. It's called Color a Shape. I'm going to change it to green because I don't have any green in my project yet, and so that'll really stand out. The next thing I want to do is make it a little bigger. If you look on my stage over here, that's kind of wimpy. So what I'm going to do is choose it, get my select tool, choose it, and I'm going to drag it and make it bigger and make it nice and big. U1. Look at that. Maybe, I wonder if I can edit this. If I get some text here. I'm going to add a couple exclamation points. Yes. So you can choose any message you want to, but this is the one that I like. Make that nice and big. Okay, so now I have my U1 sprite. So that will appear when Blocky gets to the end. So when I first start, I need to make sure that I hide this message. I don't want people to think they won without even playing. So to do that, make sure you have your U1 sprite selected, and we're going to go back to scripts. Now, since a lot of things are going to start happening, we want to make sure all of our sprites are going to start with a green flag. All right, so we're going to pull out the green flag. So when that's clicked, the first thing we want to make sure is that this is hidden. So if you go to your looks category here, you're going to pick this hide block. So now, as soon as I click the green flag, this is going to go away. Perfect. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we're going to make a sprite that senses if Blocky touches it. And we're going to put that sprite at the end of the maze because that's how you win, is by getting to the end. So I'm going to create another sprite. I'm going to paint it. And this one, I'm going to try to make kind of blend in, like make not that obvious. It's kind of like a hidden sprite. So I'm going to start by making it a color so I can see it, but then I'm going to change that color to white so it blends in with the background. So it's there, but it's not really there. So I'm going to I'm going to go to vector again, and I'm going to grab my rectangle, and I'm going to draw, right now it's set to green, so I'm going to draw a really tiny square. You can kind of see that appear here. So this is all I need to have for Blocky to touch, and I'm going to put it right at the very end here. Drop it right in there. So when Blocky moves and he touches this sprite, something's going to happen. All right, so we have our sprite. I'm going to rename this sprite. So if you want to rename your sprites instead of being Sprite 1 and Sprite 2 to give them a little bit more meaningful names, you hit the little I button here. And I'm going to call this The End. That's the name of this sprite. And so now I need to tell Blocky to do something when he hits it. So I'm going to go back to my Blocky sprite. I'm going to go back to the scripts. And notice I have this big loop running, this forever loop. First thing I want to do is put a green flag clicked block at the top. So now when I click the green flag, not only will it start this part, but it will also hide the U1 sprite. And now inside this forever loop, we have to add another if-then statement. So now we're going to be checking forever if Blocky touches this sprite. So let's grab an if-then. Make sure you put it in the forever loop, but not inside one of the other if-then blocks, all right? And now we're going to use a sensing block to see if Blocky is touching the end sprite. So we have this touching, drop that in there, and we're going to change it from mouse pointer to the end, because that's what I named that sprite. So if Blocky is touching the end sprite, what do we want to have happen? Well, the first thing we want to have happen is we want to show this sprite, the U1 sprite that we're hiding right now. So to do that, we actually have to send it a message. So you can send a message from one sprite to another to do something. So let's look in control. Hi, Mr. Cook. So, where was I? Okay, so I need to broadcast a message. All right, so under events here, I'm going to broadcast message 1 over to this sprite. So when this sprite receives message 1, it's going to do something. So 1 is sending, Blocky is sending, 1 is receiving. So when I receive it, first thing I need to do is not stay hidden. I'm going to show. So when it receives this message, it's going to show. That's pretty simple. I think that's really all it needs to do. One last thing we need to do is we need to stop this script. Blocky doesn't need to move anymore. The game is over. You've won as soon as you touch this. So I need to do a stop all. So what this is going to do is going to stop this loop, this forever loop, from happening. It's going to basically end our game. All right, so let's see if this works. I'm going to put Blocky right at the end. I'm going to hit the green flag. Everything's running. The U1 sprite is hidden. I'm going to move Blocky down. Here he goes. Bam. As soon as he touches it, Blocky is frozen, and the U1 sprite appears. All right, that's it.